Welcome back to Journos Speak. We have been discussing electoral reforms with Mr. Pramod Khandeparkar and Mr. Derek Almeida. And before the break, Pramod Bab, तुम्ही सांगताले की first past the post आणि 50% alternative जी systems आसा for deciding which candidate has won. आज गोंयच्या संदर्भात हे कशें म्हणजे आमचे ल्हान कॉन्स्टिट्युएन्सीज 25,000 वयर 28,000 मॅक्सिमम मतदारां ह्या संदर्भात ज्या जाग्यार मार्जिन्स खूब कमी असतात. How will this work? I mean, how do you think this will work or not?
प्रॉब्लेम कितें आसा, आमच्या देशाची एक सिस्टम आसा. Goa cannot go out of that circle. We have to conform with that, with the national system.
But effectiveness in
effectiveness जाते कितें. Second thing, एक उदाहरण दिता तुमकां. 1979 सालांत MG आनी काँग्रेसचो टाय जालो because of election countermand जाल्ले दोन हातून. म्हणून argument advanced by MGP then, look, we have a higher percentage of votes than the Congress. Why don't you invite us to form? So the then governor, Khurshid Alam Khan, he said, here we do only head counts.
Okay.
not your percentage voters. We do only head counts. And naga gap dawalle. Magi of course position change जाले because Congress got both the seats in the by-election वगैरे. हे जे ह्या देशान खूब डिस्कशन अशा गोष्टीचे जाला हाजे पयलीं आनी फुडें जावंकूच जाय. सेकंड थिंग इज द प्रेसिडेंट सिस्टम अशी ह्या देशान अशें हें जातालें. पूण समहाव वी हॅव आज सद्याची परिस्थिती जी आसा ती समहाव everybody has agreed to that we should have a democracy, we should have parliament, we should have elections, then majority vote. हे असं तशें अशें सगळ्यांच्या दृश्टीन हें जरा सोयीस्कर आसा म्हणून हें सगळें चल्लां. पूण तातूंत रिफॉर्म करपाची रिफॉर्माची शक्यता खूब आसा. आनी बरे political parties themselves, enlightened opinion among political parties, they should come forward. की ताका बळगें दिवपा जाय. नाल्यार अण्णा सारको मनीस कितें तरी सांगता आनी सगळे दुसऱ्या बाजू दुसरे उलयता. पिंग पॉंग गेम अशी जावपा जायना. आज देशाची अधोगती ती कितें चांगलो बरो विचार खंयचो सांगलो की ताका इमिजिएटली ओपोजिशन पिंग पॉंग गेम चलता सगळे आनी शेवटी सगळे बंद.
नाकाशिल्ली इम्प्लिकेशन्स तातूंतल्यान पॉलिटिकल इम्प्लिकेशन्स
कडेन एनमिटी निर्माण जाता समाजान सुद्दां. बेजिकली आमचो म्हज्या दृश्टीन इलेक्ट्रॉल सिस्टमचो जो आसा इलेक्शन जो आसा तातूंत इट शूड प्रमोट सोशल गुड, सोशल वेलबिंग. आजच्या परिस्थितीन जालां कितें इलेक्शन जाता म्हणजे सोशल एनमिटीज निर्माण जातात
आणि एंड रिजल्ट इज पर्सनल गुड अँड पर्सनल वेलबिंग ऑफ द विनर्स.
वायट गोष्टी तातूंत जाता. त्यो कांय वेळा दिसता की इलेक्शन नाशिल्लीं बरी. सो दीस बीइंग द केस देर इज स्कोप फॉर रिफॉर्म्स. ते रिफॉर्म कशे आसचे हे एनलायटन जे लोक आसा कॉमन सेन्स किंवा people with good common sense, they should come forward.
Taking up Pramod Bab's thing of election, some people think that why elections at all, and he had also raised the point initially that some people do not want to vote. Derek, I would like you to tell me about this duty to vote. Can it be compelled, and how can it be enforced?
See, one thing is we are so angry with the kind of politicians that the whole election process is throwing up, that we either want to do away with the system, we want to do away with the politicians, we want to do away kind of. We can't do away this. Elections are required. Elections are like the lifeblood of democracy, so you can't do away with that. Now we have this first past the post system. We want to do away with that all and bring in something else because we are angry. I say no. Get in these reforms one by one. Criminalization, reduce it. Don't make it only anybody under the IPC who is convicted under the IPC for even 6 months, throw him out. Make it stringent. Make it
any criminal
tough.
offense.
Yes, skip it 6 months. Now I think it is 2 years.
5 years or 2 years.
That is very rare. Even 6 months, throw it out. Okay, you give the fellow a chance that any case filed 1 year before an elections, if it does not reach the court and all that, okay, you are absolved of this thing, so that there are no these cases filed by politicians against politicians.
Supreme Court decisions.
Till then they say we are
throw the criminals out. Throw these people who are driven only by money out, and it will take time, but then you will have your reforms in place, you know, after maybe even 2 decades, but you will have it in place, you know.
See, politician must have a will
Hmm.
to bring about changes, suitable changes.
But then the people have to teach politicians the
That's what I'm
lesson.
saying.
That is the most
When
important
I say,
thing. isn't it?
Politicians, they should be backed by their supporters, voters, and all that. All that, the idea of electoral reforms emanates from that.
Yes.
The voter
But
and
the
the
voter,
candidate.
but Pramod, voter has to vote न्ही. जे voting करपाक वचना ते तो जो एक percentage जो उरता जो आपले मतच प्रगट करना.
That's the point.
ताजे बद्दल कितें करपाक जाता?
ताका कितें करतलो?
Can we compel? Can we
काही
compel him?
काही कारणां असू शकता. त्या कारण काही लोक अशे इतले गरीब असतात तांकां वचणेच शक्य ना.
न्ही, पण गुजरात गव्हर्नमेंटान मागीर मोदीन खंय तरी थोडे म्युनिसिपल हातूंक काय कितें तरी ड्युटी टू वोट कंपेल करपाचें.
But
is it
I
practical?
don't think it is necessary in our country that everybody has to vote. No, this is my personal view.
But
it should be free.
But can there be in that case a minimum percentage of voting? म्हळ्यार अमुक percentage सकल जर voting एक constituency जाली, that those elections can be null and void and re-elections held, something
As
like
per
that.
present rules, it's not there.
It's not
But you
possible.
can make a rule. You can make a rule. You can make a rule for that.
So that could be a
That-
more
that-
that could be
that's
a
what I'm
more
saying. There's
better
scope-
alternative.
There is scope for reforms even on this front. That let's say if it is more than less than 50%, then you can then you say it is null and void.
परत election.
Order repoll. अशें करूं येता. पण the parliament has to agree to that.
Yes, whatever.
आजचे परिस्थिती पळयल्यार पार्लमेंटाक कांयचे गोष्टी रेजिस्टन्स चड जावपाक लागला पार्लमेंटातूच. बिकॉज पार्लमेंट इज सुप्रीम सगळे गोष्टीचे. सगळ्यापेक्षा जास्त सुप्रीम ऑथॉरिटी आमच्या देशामध्ये पार्लमेंट.
There should not be no doubt. There should not be any doubt about that. Actually.
About that. But somehow आमचे जे रिफॉर्म्स आसा ते भयंकर मंद गतीन चलता अशें आमकां दिसता. आनी ताका एक कारण आसूं शकता बिकॉज ऑफ दीस लिबरलायझेशन ग्लोबलायझेशन हातून जो आमचो देश तातूंत गुरफटलो आनी ते साहजिकूच आशिल्लें. ते अनेक गोष्टी निर्माण जाल्या हल्लीच्या वर्सांनी. त्या खातीर एखाद्या वेळार हाजे कडेन दुर्लक्ष जालां जावं अशें म्हाका दिसता.
Derek, Anna Hazare's another demand or whatever he's going to take up is the right to recall. Now, right to recall, I think, has been tried in some areas where the same person, you recall one elected representative, and it turns out that after re-election, the same person gets elected again. It's happened in some cases. How is the right to recall a valid?
There are problems with this right to recall. I feel, you know, one of the major problems is like this. Like suppose you have a politician here who has got say 8,000 votes. Now how do you first decide that in this particular constituency we are going to have this right to recall? Is it signatures? How are you going to do it? Signatures, then you have the issue of how do you find out who has signed. Secondly, if politician A has got 8,000 votes, that means you have to get at least 8,500 signatures. Otherwise, you will be nullifying those 8,000, the votes of those 8,500 people. So, there are issues, there are problems, you see. And until these criteria is set, otherwise the better way of doing this is instead of having elections every 5 years, you have it every 4 years. Okay. But right to recall creates a lot of instability. It creates a lot of problems. It's like having elections every 2.5 years then.
And without any
without any real mandate, you know, I mean, how do you decide like, okay, right to recall, let's have it in Panjim, or let's have it in Veli, or let's have it in, how do you decide? This criteria is not clear, and until this criteria is very clear, you see, only then can we sit and take some decision on this. But this, I think will be a major problem, is if politicians win by big number of votes, you have to find more number of people
to recall.
To at least start this process of recall.
प्रमोद बाब, आनी एक हें आसा की खंयचेय इलेक्शन, असेंब्ली इलेक्शन, लोकसभा इलेक्शन, असेंब्ली इलेक्शनाक म्हणया गोंयांत, तर इलेक्शन एकदां अनाउन्स जालें की प्रेसिडेंट्स रूल लावचो अशें एक सजेशन खूब कडेन येता. Now, looking at the recent developments in Goa of jobs being, given after the election date was announced and all that, does that seem to be a better way of conducting elections?
ताजेर ओपिनियन्स आसूं शकता. म्हाका पर्सनली दिसता की ती प्रेसिडेंट्स रूल एप्लाय करप ही जी आयडिया आसा, इट डजंट फिट इन टू अवर डेमोक्रेटीक प्रॅक्टीस फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल. rigorous step. It is a rigorous step.
No, only for that
No,
period.
even that period, even that Arshe Sudha Jana government patta ke jata, then bringing in central rule is not a correct thing to do in the spirit of our federal spirit. फेडरेशन जे आमचे आसा तातूंत ते बरें दिसना. आतां सुद्दां ताणें कितें केलें, इलेक्शन कमिशन आसा ताका ऑथॉरिटी दिवं येता. आज ताणें ऑर्डरी काडल्या, द जॉब इज डन.
ओके.
बट बेसिकली कितें आसा, प्रेजिडेंट रूल जरी हाडलो तरी जे इमोरल पॉलिटिशियन जे कोण आसा ते थंय सुद्दां ते साबोटाज करतले.
द बेसिक थिंग इज फॉर दॅट पिरियड इलेक्टेड गव्हर्नमेंट जे आशिल्ले हाजे पयलीं ताज्या हातांतल्यान सगळे पावर्स काडप. दिस इज द बेसिक थॉट बिहाइंड दिस.
There is no provision. And there is no provision for vacuum. President's rule comes because there is no provision for vacuum. The continuity. Governance is a continuity in our country.
Pramod Bab, electoral reforms ची गरज आसाच. I mean, we do need reforms, and these reforms will evolve as time goes, hopefully, to make the democracy more healthy, more vibrant, and whatever democracy needs to be done. पण एक ओवरऑल जर एक पिक्चर आज गोयचे पळयलें आनी आमचे कडेन जे पॉलिटिकल पार्टी जे कॅन्डिडेट्स दवरतात, वेर वी आर नॉट लेफ्ट विथ टू मच चॉयस, डज द इनर पार्टी डेमोक्रेसी ऑर लॅक ऑफ इट एफेक्ट ऑल दिस? आय मीन ताजे कडेन इलेक्टोरल रिफॉर्म्स फ्रॉम द इलेक्शन कमिशन पॉयंट ऑफ व्यू, कॅन दिस बी लुक्ड ॲट?
पळयात, बेसिकली कितें आसा, आमचे पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज जर घेतले आनी शेजारच्या राज्यांतले घेतले, कोणाक MLA जावपाक तिकेटी दिता पार्टी, जे कोण ग्राउंड लेवलाच्यान जे वर्कर्स आसा, जे ट्रेन जावन आयिल्ले आसा, कोऑपरेटिव्ह मुवमेंटान जावं पंचायत लेवलाचेर जावं जे ट्रेन जावन आयिल्ले आसा, तांकां सेल्फ गव्हर्नन्सान थोडीशी हें आसा, अशें तांकां कसलें तिकेट दिता. गोंया कितें जालें, गोंया लोकांनी तिकेटी विकत्यो घेतल्यो,
फक्त पैसे
हाडलो आनी तिकेटी पार्टीच्यो विकत्यो घेतल्यो. हे लोकां कडल्यान कितें अपेक्षा, तांणी पयसो दिलो पार्टीक, ते तितलो तांकां परत रिकवर करपाक जाय.
बिझनेस
ताजे पेक्षा आनीक रिकवर करचे फुडले इलेक्शना खातीर, ते शिवाय तांचे सपोर्टर आसात तांकां आनीक पंचा खातीर दिवपाक जाय. अशें आज हे गोंयचें राजकारण गजकरण जालां ते हे खातीर. गोंया तर चडूच जालें तें.
डेमोक्रेसी, इनर पार्टी डेमोक्रेसी म्हणटा ती
इनर पार्टी डेमोक्रेसी आज खंय, वेर इज इट?
बट कॅन द इलेक्शन कमिशन डू समथिंग अबाउट दिस?
इनर पार्टी डेमोक्रेसी आनी इलेक्शन कमिशनाक कांय संबंद ना. इलेक्शन कमिशन कांट डू एनीथिंग. तुगेली पार्टी, तुका सिंबॉल, तुगेले तिकेटीचो कोण आसा, तुका हो तुगेलो कॅन्डिडेट, ओके. इलेक्शन कमिशन कॅन से नथिंग ऑन दॅट.
So people have to reject that.
People have to reject.
So finally it all boils down to the voter
and party. पार्टीन स्वता ते थोडीशी मोरालिटी दवरपाक जाय, थोडे तरी एथिकल स्टँडर्ड्स दवरपाक जाय. म्हणजे आमी जी पार्टी चलयतले, आमी जो गव्हर्नमेंट करतले, गव्हर्नन्स आमी दितले 15 लाख लोकां खातीर, तो कसो तरेचो आसचो, ताजी क्वालिटी कितें आसची, हें ताणें विचार करूं नाका. की फक्त जास्ती सीट मेळ्ळे, कोणाक 16, कोणाक 18 ताणें गव्हर्नमेंट केलो बी जालें, म्हाका दिसना दीस इज द करेक्ट थिंग.
Pramod, we are running out of time. Derek, would you have some last words on this electoral reforms thing?
I support all these reforms. Okay, I think we should consider this right to reject. I think we should consider trying to separate money from what Mr. Khandeparkar is saying. Find a way to make these fellows either move out and get fresh faces, and don't make politics into some sort of corporate some business. Okay, that needs to be separated. Criminals need to be kept out. These are three things I think that we need to tackle urgently, very urgently, and then we can go on to look at other reforms. And one thing I think that is very crucial, very important, is this whole issue of jobs. I think when issuing or when releasing government jobs, there should be a rotation from constituency to constituency, so that one particular minister or one particular department does not have a monopoly over jobs. Once you do this, you will take away a great one big factor which is used to influence voters.
Thank you, Derek. We are absolutely out of time. Thank you, Derek. Thank you, Pramod Bab.
Thank you.
And I think electoral reforms are the need of the hour, and hopefully this democracy will evolve and elections will be much better in the future.
That's true.
Thanks, everybody. Keep watching Prudent Media.